Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of Title Scoop. This week we're going to do something kind of fun. We'll get you ready for your next title trivia night. We're going to go over some fun facts that I found about title insurance, and a lot of them I actually didn't know, so this has been kind of fun to look these up. So the first one is, do you know who came up with the concept of title insurance? It was actually Benjamin Franklin. So we obviously all know he came up with the lightning rod, bifocals, and a bunch of other inventions, but he actually came up with the concept. He was one of the first to come up with basically a mutual insurance and a coverage on title. Now, it didn't happen for years, but the concept was at least, was his. So does anyone know what the job title was for the first title abstractors? It wasn't a title abstractor, it was actually a conveyancer. So prior to the creation of title insurance, people hired conveyancers, and they basically did the job of what a title abstractor did. They searched the records, they actually handled the closings too, but they found encumbrances, they found the ownership interest, any liens, and they helped make sure everyone was aware and then cleared those off prior to the closing. The one difference was, though, that if you hired a conveyancer and something was missed or anything like that, and it came up after you owned the property, it was actually, if there was any loss, it was on the landowner. It wasn't on the conveyancer, as long as they acted in good faith and used due care. So what state was the first to actually have title insurance? This one I actually thought was a different state, and I found out it was actually Pennsylvania. Not super surprising, because Pennsylvania is known for many things, of our founding fathers. But Pennsylvania is the first to have title insurance, and it actually was prompted by a case. So what happened is a guy named Mr. Watson purchased a piece of property in 1865, and when he was purchasing it, he decided to hire a conveyancer, Mr. Muirhead. So Mr. Muirhead did a search, and he found a lien. He went to a local attorney and asked his opinion of whether this lien attached to the property, and the attorney said no, it doesn't. So they proceeded with the closing. The transaction finishes, and a couple months later, the property sold at sheriff's sale, and Mr. Watson is out of his property, and he then subsequently sues Mr. Muirhead and says, hey, you're at fault here. There's negligence. You didn't clear up this lien, and it was actually due to that lien that is why it sold at sheriff's sale. So, but the court came back and went all the way to Pennsylvania Supreme Court, and the court came back and said there's no negligence. He acted with due care, and basically you're out of luck. So that was basically when a bunch of Philadelphia conveyancers came together and they're like, we've got to do something to protect the innocent buyers. There's no fault of theirs when this is happening, and that was sort of the birth of title insurance. So what year was the first title insurance policy issued? It was 1871, which is sort of crazy because Benjamin Franklin was alive in the 1700s. So he came up with this concept almost 100 years before we actually enacted it. So do you know what the word mortgage comes from? Like what country? It's actually Old French, and it stands for dead pledge, which is kind of funny. This one's probably my favorite because I've been in title insurance for over 15 years, and I had never heard this. Who was the first recorder of deeds? It was Frederick Douglass. He was in the District of Columbia, and he was tasked with maintaining public records and documents, much the same as our Register of Deeds or Recorder of Deeds are today. All right, what famous criminal took care of liens on properties by burning and destroying mortgage documents? In the 1930s, a bank robber named Charles Arthur Pretty Boy Floyd, and I've heard that name before, you might have as well, not only stole cash from banks, he also went in and burned mortgage documents and was lauded as the modern day Robin Hood because he got rid of it. Got rid of mortgage debts for many people by burning them because the bank had no way to prove after the fact that this actually existed. All right, and the last one. What president's father moved from Kentucky to Indiana because the title practices in Kentucky were so ambiguous that he needed to move somewhere where he felt like the practices were better? It was actually Abraham Lincoln. Many of us have known that Abraham Lincoln spent part of his life in Indiana, and that was due to the fact that his dad had bought some properties in Kentucky, and he said the practices were so bad that he just wanted to go somewhere where the title practices were better and also the farmland was richer. So that's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, maybe you'll be ready for your next title trivia night. If not, let me know if you have any other issues or any topics that you want to be discussed on Title Scoop, and we'll see you next week. Thanks.